What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Halifax Sports Talk, your home for everything sports in Halifax, whether it be Thunderbirds, Mooseheads, Wanderers, or any big sporting event around the Maritimes. We're here to cover it for you. But today, it's a game preview. The Halifax Mooseheads are over on the sandbar, taking on the Charlottetown Islanders. It's the first game of the season for both of these teams over at the Eastlink Centre in Charlottetown. And I'm going to break it down for you, get into my roster projection here in a few minutes, and break down the Charlottetown Islanders roster as well. But before we get into that, there was a inaugural game in the QMJHL on the Rock last night. The Newfoundland Regiment hosted the Moncton Wildcats. And in the first of two games, I guess, they'll play again tonight. But last night, the inaugural game on the Rock in the Q, what an atmosphere. I guess I'll break it down for you real quick. Moncton scored 41 seconds into the game, and then Newfoundland, four straight unanswered goals. They lead 4-1. Moncton comes back. It ended up being a tie game, 5-5 in the third period before Newfoundland eventually squeaked by a couple of empty net goals. And man, that building erupted. I probably haven't heard a building louder than that in junior hockey, other than the Mooseheads run to the finals in 2023. That was insane. And shout out to Seth Hyde, the 17-year-old voice of the regiment. He was actually doing the 50-50. They were calling the 50-50, and someone showed him that his mom won the 50-50. They played the call on the broadcast. It was actually hilarious, but it was something pretty cool. But let's jump into the Halifax Mooseheads roster projection because there's a lot of questions going into tonight. And the biggest question is who's going to fill the spot of Liam Kilfoyle? Liam Kilfoyle is at Detroit Red Wings camp tonight. So he won't be available for the Mooseheads in this opening matchup, opening weekend, I guess, for both of these games. But let's take a look at what I've got cooked up here. This is my roster. It might look a little bit different than what some other people have been saying. It might look a little bit different when tomorrow comes around. Who knows? But I guess I'll break it down for you line by line. You got the first line of Connor McPherson, Sean Carrier, and Yasu Mensonen. Obviously, I think Mensonen might be a second line guy with Kilfoyle getting the first line center spot and moving Carrier over to the wing. I think that's definitely what I would do. And then move Will Bent down to the fourth or the third line, Daniel Walters down to the fourth line, and then either Santini or Gualberto Jr. are probably going to get scratched for this one. And just because I like what Antoine Fontaine looked like in the preseason, I liked how big he looked, and like he gained a couple pounds. He hit the gym for sure, and he looked good in those preseason games. So I think Fontaine might have a little bit better of a chance to stay on this roster. And for the defense, no surprise, Captain Phillips leading the way on the right hand side. I think they're going to play him alongside Lincoln Waugh in the season opener. I wouldn't throw Malik Litsalien out there right away, throw him to the Wolves, as they would say. So let him hang back on the second pair with Carlos Handel, and then Eddie Doyle, Mathieu Taillefer round out the defense. And then this is what I was talking about yesterday. Nick Circa and Owen Brisson, the two goaltenders. I think they're going to play Circa, the younger guy. He's got Q experience. Both of these guys have Q experience. But Circa played a few games, a handful of games for the Mooseheads last year. I think they'll break him in early against a Charlottetown team that is just as fresh as the Mooseheads are. And then Owen Brisson, the hometown guy, will come in and play the home opener in front of his hometown crowd. That's my theory. But for the opening night roster, I do think the top line of Carrier, Menson, and McPherson will be rolled out, or in a variation of that. I just think that since Liam Kilfoyle's back, they have to fill the spot somehow, and I think Menson and being on that top line is probably the best way to go. Now, if you look at the second line, Kulibiakin, Kennedy, and Will Bent, that's probably where I would have Menson in, playing alongside his import counterpart in Oleg Kulibiakin, and then Quinn Kennedy. He's been a standout player for the past 2 seasons. Really shined in that playoff run last year for the Mooseheads. So I think that's kind of what my top six would look like. Blake, Walters, Nasruddin, and then Fontaine, Santini, Gualberto Jr. round out the bottom six. I'm not too sure if there's anything I would change there. Kalen Blake was looking like he was going to get a few more minutes this year. Maybe a top six role. Very likely. Very, very likely. It still could happen, but I just think with Menson and Kulibiakin coming in, McPherson coming in, it really just it narrows down the time, and it doesn't give Kalen Blake as much of an opportunity as I think he kind of deserves. I think guys like Blake showed off last season. They showed that they can compete. He was only a 16-year-old last year at the start of the season, so this would be his 17-year-old season. He's a sophomore season in the QMJHL. It's definitely nothing to sneeze at if you're only a third line guy, but I know Kalen Blake would definitely love to play some top 6 minutes. Let's take one last quick look at it. And the fourth line is just something I want to touch on real quickly. Fontaine, Santini, Gualberto Jr. All three of these guys were kind of on the smaller side. Santini and Gualberto Jr. especially. I don't think that they're. It's hard to say. It's hard to say where all of these guys will fall into the lineup just yet because it is only the first game. But I do think that the fourth line of Fontaine, Santini, and Gualberto Jr. will probably stick throughout the season. Maybe mixing in a couple of guys like Patrick McNabb here and there. It's really tough to say. I do like Patrick McNabb. He's a tough guy to play against. Plays a tough, gritty style of hockey, and I think that's pretty much the only thing you could ask for from a guy like him. All right, let's take a look at the matchup between the pipes here tonight. We've got Nick Circa and Donald Hickey. It's going to be a great matchup. Hickey actually won a couple games last year against the Mooseheads, but Circa, not with the most impressive record, a 1-4-2. Hickey 15-9-2. But Hickey obviously had a lot more time with the Islanders last year than Circa did. Circa came over right after Christmas time, once the pipeline kind of opened up. The rule changed, the NCAA to QMJHL pipeline, or vice versa. But on the stats side of it, I think Circa, he's got the 3 inches of height over Hickey. Might serve him well. It's always good to have a taller goaltender. I know that's what teams are looking for nowadays. But I don't think either of these teams really have, like, you look at last year. You look at the goaltending that Halifax had last year. It was Mathis Rousseau, one of the best goaltenders, if not the best goaltender in the QMJHL. And then he gets traded, and they bring in Jacob Steinman, who ends up being one of the best goaltenders, if not the best goaltender in the QMJHL. I know Moncton Wildcats fans will sit there and scream at me Rudy Guimont and Mathis Rousseau's name, but man, Jacob Steinman played his butt off in the playoffs, and I don't think there's anybody else like out there that really exceeded what Steinman did, especially for a team like Moncton, top tier team in the Q. Halifax was a 8th seed, the lowest seed in the playoffs, beating the top seed Drummondville Voltigeur, most of it thanks to the play of Jacob Steinman. But you go back to this, Circa, Hickey, both of these teams, younger goaltending. It's going to be tough to really break out and find your guy when both of them are still young. They'll take a few years to develop, but I think these are the two guys that both teams will be rolling out with tonight at the Eastlink Centre. I think Brisson will get the start at home in front of the hometown crowd tomorrow at the Scotiabank Centre. So that's my goaltending projections. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Charlottetown Islanders roster for just a second. See what kind of guys they've got going on over there. See what they've been cooking up over on the sandbar. Brady Peddle is probably one of the guys that I would look at this team and say he's a standout guy. Maybe Owen Conrad as well. Conrad with the Maple Leafs at their main camp right now, so he won't be available for the Islanders in tonight's game. Marcus Kiersey, touched on him a little bit yesterday in yesterday's video. He's definitely been a standout defenseman for the Islanders in the past few seasons. Scored a couple goals last year against the Mooseheads. Definitely knows them well. Matthew Butler as well, another Newfoundland guy. The Islanders love their Newfoundlanders. And the Islanders kind of taking advantage of that USA to the Q pipeline now that is opened up thanks to the NCAA rule change. We've got Aiden McIsaac from Andover, Mass. Nolan Dukoski from Ellington, Connecticut. Jude Heron from Fort Kent, Maine. And Cedre Watroba from West Springfield, Massachusetts. So 4 guys coming over, or coming across the border, I should say, from the States to join this Charlottetown Islanders team. It's definitely tough to say where this team will fit. They've got a couple of 2006s, a couple of 2005s, a couple of 2007s, and a lot of 2008s. So it's a mix of older guys, younger guys on this QMJHL roster for the Charlottetown Islanders. But one thing I look at when I see their back end, I only see one guy under 6 foot, and that's Marcus Kiersey. And that's all right because the kid can skate. But when I look at some other guys, Daniel Chen, 6'5", Owen Conrad, 6'3", Maxwell Jardin, 6 foot, Emil Alexandro Lemire Gupi, that's a name and a half. And then Aiden McIsaac, both 6'1", and then Brady Peddle and Nikita Voyaga, both 6'3". So that's a tough backhand to go up against if I'm the Halifax Mooseheads. Going up against guys that are all above 6 feet, it's going to be a tough night in the corners, that's for sure, for the Halifax Mooseheads. That'll do it on Halifax Sports Talk for this game preview between the Halifax Mooseheads and the Charlottetown Islanders. Make sure you drop a comment and let me know if you think my projections are wrong, if I nailed them, or if you think you know who's going to win this one tonight. Make sure to sub to the channel, smash the like button, turn on the notification bell so you never miss a beat, and we'll catch you in the next one.